Okay, so the first part of this, I'm going to go through why you should listen to what I'm going to say. So I'm going to try and build myself up as having some kind of experience. I don't know if everyone can see this, but I'm copying Ben. So I'm using the exact same graph here that Ben used, but I'm going to use it to tell a slightly different story. Okay, so I'm actually much older, so I'm 32, and when I was most of your guys' age, when I was at university, I really wanted to do something for the animals, and I really wanted to do something about the climate. But 10 years ago, there wasn't anything, or at least nothing that was functioning. So what did I do? I joined Friends of the Earth. I joined Greenpeace. I joined the Socialist Society. I joined the Anarchists. And each of these was a failure in a different way. And I spent the first half a decade of doing this kind of work, doing things that, I thought it was a clap then. I spent the first half a decade of my work doing this, doing absolutely pointless things that had no impact whatsoever, right? So for most of my time, I actually spent it just here. I didn't leave this, right? And the moment of being, oh my God, we're going to just have to do something ourselves because none of this stuff's going to work, was the IPCC report came out in, so basically, I joined Friends of the Earth Scotland, Young Friends of the Earth. We were doing loads of stuff, we were having meetings, and we were having discussions, and we were baking cookies, and we're doing stuff like this. And I was like, but how is this going to do anything? What's the relation? And I remember being in one of these meetings, and someone told me, we're just going to stick to our values. And if we stick to our values, the change we see will happen, we want to see will happen. If we stick to our values. Right? That's it. That's all it takes. And I was thinking in my head, you know, the oil companies are paying people hundreds of thousands of pounds a year to sit in a room and make plans for how they're going to stop that from happening. And they're not thinking about, oh, we're going to sit in a room and have values. They're thinking, how can we pay politicians? They're thinking, how can we employ the best, most capable people to make sure this happens? And I thought, we're going to fucking lose, right? If this is the best thing that we've got going, is to sit in a room of 6 people, the same 6 people that have been there for the past 3 years, and think, we're just going to stick to our values, we're going to bake our cookies, and we're going to do workshops. I thought, no, this is not going to work. So I started a group with my friend, which was trying to give out free vegan food in the street. And we did it in Glasgow, and it worked. People came, people ate the food, and they went, oh, vegan food's not that weird. And we had conversations with them about going vegan. And then we thought, well, let's try and scale that. And so we scaled it to 30 different locations across Europe. And we did that basically just through blasting all the Facebook groups online that said vegan in them. And it took months, and it was just 2 of us doing it. And yeah, so I started to get to about here, right? I was like, bloody hell, 30 groups. Those groups mostly collapsed within a few months, by the way, because I knew nothing about all the stuff that Ben was talking about. So the groups just collapsed instantly. Because I was like, sweet, here's the thing, do it, don't speak to me again. Yeah, so we went here. And then it started to go up a bit more, because I was like, oh wow, no, it's still going. Oh, we started to get some funding. I actually think we got some funding from ProVeg, so thank you, Tobias, for supporting us. And then something really important happened. So after years of doing this and not learning anything, and like doing very poor work, Extinction Rebellion started. And suddenly, all of our volunteers left, because they all went to join Extinction Rebellion. And this is just before April 2019. But me and my friend Mitchell, who were doing the vegan cookout, which is what it was called, you can see us on Facebook, it's very sad. Yeah, we were so arrogant. We were so arrogant that we were like, no, our group's better. Our idea is better than Extinction Rebellion. Yeah. There's one of those groups you've heard of. And it's for a reason. So we were around here. And then eventually we said, okay, we'll just join Extinction Rebellion. But it was through force of everything was, we had nothing else to do. Joined in the April 2019 rebellion. Suddenly we had all these big wins. The government set a net zero by 2050 target. They declared a climate emergency. They set up a citizens' assembly. They won on all 3 demands. Not all the way, but they won on all 3 demands in 2 weeks. Right? Yes. In 2 weeks. Yeah. And so then I went up here. I was like, I had such a small impact on this, but I became completely blinded by, we're just going to win, it's never going to fail, this is it. And then October 2019 happened, I don't know if anyone knows the story of October 2019. We did another protest, exactly the same in London. The police squashed it because they knew this time and they were prepared. No government changes happened, no change in public opinion happened, nothing happened. The group started to fall into infighting, and about 2-3 months after that, it was the end for Extinction Rebellion UK. And so I stayed in here for a long time. I was like in the despair, nothing is going to work, it's all pointless. And I went back to normal life. Pandemic happened, and after the pandemic, I tried to start a vegan group. And again, I didn't know what Ben was saying, I didn't know about team building. We made a team, we were going to go on hunger strike to try and get Glasgow City Council to put a vegan option on school menus. And it sounds extreme because we spoke to a person called Roger Hallam, who was one of the co-founders of Extinction Rebellion, and he convinced us that the only way to do it was through a hunger strike. So we did, right? We all got ready, there was 10 people all signed up to do it. But again, we didn't know how to do team building. 2 people broke up, they fell out, they didn't want to speak to each other, they left. Someone else was like, did something weird, he had to get told to leave. And one by one, within about a month and a half, the entire thing had collapsed and nothing happened. But then, Just Stop Oil came along, right? Everyone heard the story of Just Stop Oil? Yeah, a little bit. But basically, I'll do year 1. The idea was we're going to change UK government policy by getting lots and lots of people arrested in different ways. And we're going to do it by blocking oil terminals, we're going to do it by becoming the #1 media story in the country, we're going to do it through being on TV every single day, and we're not going to let anyone in the country forget that we need to stop new oil and gas. And the idea was if we do that for long enough, it's going to win. And it did. But it was with lots of this, lots of hard work. And then, I disagree with Ben, I don't think you should ever go back up here. The challenge is always to go here, right? You need to stay in this like equilibrium. And me and Sophie were talking about this actually, there's kind of a gender split in how this happens, is that men, like myself, tend to overestimate their own abilities. So I'm constantly going woo, woo up here, thinking, God, I'm so good, I'm so great. And I have to be like, no, you don't know everything, you need to keep learning, you need to become more humble, and you need to fail. And I do fail all the time, so then I go back down here. And lots of the women that I work with actually have abilities way beyond their belief in themselves. And so they need to be pushing themselves up to be like, okay, until we get here where we're in this equilibrium. Anyway, that's the story, but the idea is, most of the stuff I've ever done in my life has failed with activism. Most of the stuff you will ever do will fail. That's the game. And it's just going to take a hell of a fucking long time to do it. And just savor it when you are doing well and it's all working. So, let's describe it. It's a bell curve. And this is the thing you need to be concentrating on and thinking about all the time when you're thinking about mobilising. It's basically, this axis is number of people. This axis is the level of support those people have for your campaign, or for your viewpoint, or for your demand, or for veganism, or for whatever it is. So, where do we think that the people in this room are in this bell curve? Yeah? I think probably about here, right? Because some people have died to make it happen, right? Some people have like given completely everything, and I'm not saying we should do that, but we're probably like here somewhere. What about people that are saying all vegans are evil and we need to eat meat every single day, and this is like super bad for your health and it's going to actually damage the environment more? Which side are they at? Thank you. Yeah, they're somewhere here. Okay. Now this is the bit which I'm hoping that you guys are going to get wrong, because otherwise I don't have much to say. But who's in the middle? Does someone want to shout out what it is? What's the belief of someone in the middle here?
Flexitarian. I don't care.
I don't care, flexitarian anymore? Indecisive, yeah. Anyone else? Nope, that's it. Yeah, it actually is flexitarian, right? And I think this is the most hopeful thing about what's going on now. Because when I started this, it wasn't, right? The middle, when I started doing this, was, what the hell is that, right? Why would we do this? Why would we want to make this change? That was the middle bit. But now, the middle of society is pretty much flexitarian. In the UK, 50% of people say they're reducing meat, right? So actually, it's probably about up to here in the UK. And there's quite a small number of people who think, hey, we should be eating it. I am eating it, and we should all be eating it, right? There's actually quite a small number of people that are thinking that. I won't take questions at the moment. Thank you. Yeah. So And we need to design a strategy which appeals to a big chunk of this, as big a chunk as we possibly can, right? And going in with that understanding, we are the majority, right? If you take this as, should we destroy the living world, right, because we like certain foods, it's even further towards what we want. If you take it of, you know, in the UK, for instance, you know, should we be, you know, cutting off piglets' tails, right? It goes to everyone, apart from a very, very small number of people, think that's completely wrong, right? And this whole thing shifts over. And we need to frame it in, we are already in the majority. We're the popular movement. This is a popular thing. This isn't a fringe issue that you're bringing to the table. This is the mainstream, this is the mainstream belief, right? And there's various reasons why people might not support the demand, but we are the mainstream. Very, very few people disagree with this and say that it should never happen, especially when you're saying we should just change the menus at institutions. So, remember this. Proximity, sociability, and identity. Does anyone want to say, just shout out, what is proximity? What does that mean? Proximity is about space and time, right? Everything, when you're bringing new people into the group, needs to happen quickly. It needs to be close, right? Where do you want to do the outreach? Do you want to do it where the students are, or do you want to do it miles away? You need to do it where the students are. It sounds obvious, but it's not always done. Where should the venue that you're advertising be based on the leaflet you're giving out? It should be near to it. It needs to be close to it. You want to be giving out the leaflet next door to where the venue is. If you're giving out a leaflet and it's like 30 minutes walk, you're going to lose a large portion of people because they're not going to walk that far, right? It needs to happen close in space, right? And also it needs to happen close in time. So the next part is, when Kevin said this with ringing people up, the speed with which you contact people is paramount. It's so important. So in Last Generation Germany, they had an amazing graph. They did fantastic stats about people getting involved. And when they had a spike of interest, so you'd get, you know, 1,000 people signing up on the website saying, I want to get involved. If you took a day or two to ring them up, about 40% of people get involved. What about if it's 3 days? Anyone want to guess? Just shout them out.
20%.
What? 20%. Almost. Keep going. Lower. 10%, right? And what about 4 days, 5 days, 6 days? It goes down to like 2, 3, 4% until you get to a flat line of people that are just going to get involved no matter when you ring them or contact them. But the speed is so important. You can't get someone saying, I think I've heard it quite a few times this weekend, people saying, people seem so keen and interested to get involved, and then they never do anything, right? Maybe it's because they don't want to do anything, but almost always it's because you left too much time, right? You go, let's say I'm a student and I go to a stall, and I think, wow, this is so interesting, these people seem great, I want to get involved. What happens after that? I walk home. Oh, hey, Richard, nice to see you, Richard. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, do you want to go for drinks tonight? Yeah, let's go for drinks. Oh, damn, I've got my exam tomorrow. Oh, I should have rung my nan as well. Okay, oh, well, I need to remember this. And where's PBU? The longer you go, the further to the back of the mind PBU goes. And then you get a text 2 weeks later saying, hi, I met you at the stall. And you're like, what stall? Who's this? I don't remember this happening, right? If you get a call within a couple of hours, it's like, oh yeah, I remember meeting you. That was so lovely. Yes, I would love to be involved. I'll see you at the thing. But then when do you tell them when are you going to meet them? Are you going to meet them 3 weeks, 4 weeks from now? Are you going to meet them next week or 2 or 3 days from now? Everything has to happen very, very close. And it's like, it's all about the emotional feeling of, oh, I'm on something is happening to me. And the longer that you leave it, the bigger gaps you have, the less and less interest the person has. Once somebody's super into it, it matters less and less, right? But at the beginning, just to get someone peaked and like involved in it, it needs to happen quickly. Okay, what about sociability? We already said that, making friends with them, that's a really good one. Anyone else got one? What's sociability? Yep.
Just really about how you interact with each other.
Yes, how you interact with each other, fantastic. Anyone else? Yep.
Making them feel welcome.
Making them feel welcome, yes.
Being genuinely interested in people.
Yes, being genuinely interested. That is the number one, being genuinely interested in people. Yes, anything else? Yep.
Like holding social events and stuff.
Holding social events. Yes, fantastic. Right. to make it sound really simple, it's being nice and kind and fun, right? Okay, I'm going to give you a couple of different ideas for meetings, and we can go through them. So, one thing is, and I'm sure, who's been to meetings that are not run by PBU, like political meetings or society meetings? Right, keep your hands up, Right, who when they went through the door at that meeting had someone say hello and shake their hand, welcome to the group, and explain what's going on? Put your hand down if you had that happen to you. Right? You might have said it in a confusing way. Okay, you should be keeping your hand up if someone did greet you properly when you went in and made you feel part of it. You should be keeping your hand up. So we think we lost about half of the people there, right? Does anyone want to say, did you go back to the group that didn't welcome you in? Yes. Okay, nice. Okay, why did you go back?
I was interested.
Oh, you're interested. Fantastic, right. So you're here, right? You're a mission-driven person who's like, I'm going to make this happen, I'm going to go no matter what. Most people are not like that, right? Yes.
Same mission.
Okay.
Vision.
This might be the bad room to do this example here, because everyone's here for the mission. But essentially, it's like, you go to a meeting, and it's like, oh, nice to meet you, Harley, how are you doing? It was nice to speak to you on the phone. Welcome, this is so-and-so and so-and-so. Oh, this is how it's going to be. Oh, are you coming to the pub with us afterwards? Amazing. Oh, I like your shoes, by the way. And suddenly I'm like, oh, this is really nice. These guys are great. And I sit down. The other kind of meeting, which is the meeting that I've been to far more often, is the group of people that are running the university society are all sat on their own. They're all sat in a group, and you come in as a new person and you go, what's going on here? Oh, I suppose it must be starting in a bit. And then you sit down, no one comes to say hello to you. They're all laughing and hugging and ha ha ha. And you think, God, I feel slightly on edge here. And then lo and behold, the person leaves, right? If you make the nice community, people want to come, people want to be there, right? It's a huge thing people want. And you should be thinking about either, you've got two options. You can either be an incredibly charismatic social person, and then you don't need to think about this because you just do it. That's who you are. Or you can be like the majority of people and have to learn it, right? And basically you have to realise, look someone in the eyes, shake their hand, welcome them, put your arm on their shoulder if it seems the right thing to do, you know, be really kind and friendly. And then next time you speak to them, remember what they were saying at the meeting and comment on it and respond to it. Like you could, because you care, right? If you don't care, you can't fake it, right? You have to actually care, like, oh, what did this person bring? What were they going to do for the group? What are their ideas? Yeah. So everything needs to be close in space and time. It needs to be nice and kind and fun, right? And the final one is identity. Does anyone want to guess what I might mean by identity? So we're getting there. Basically, everyone's got an identity of who they are as a person, right? And every group has an identity as well, right? If you're, and I think PBU does this quite well, from at least looking from the outside, is if you make a group of vegans and you get a load of people that identify as we're vegans and we do a vegan thing, right? And they all get in a room together, they all act in a weird way, right? Don't act like people who are not in that group. People who are within that group act very differently. There's a style. There's a way of dressing where you can tell it's a vegan meeting, I think. Right? There's a way of speaking, there's a way of talking, there's a way of all kinds of things. It's like, oh, this is one of those vegan groups, right? In the UK, the outfit is all black with white writing, right? And hooded tops, right? I'm not against it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. But if you're not in that, when you enter, you feel strange. Are these my people? Is this the thing that I'm part of? Or am I an outsider? What's going on here? Am I going to be judged? And basically, the key thing you need to do is you need to make it welcoming enough. You have to have an identity of some kind because you have a community, and all communities have some kind of identity. But if you make that identity too strong and too insular, then new people don't want to come in because you're asking them to leave their identity at the door and join a new identity. And I think it's the power of PBU is that it's asking the university to change, not the individual. Because I think that a big mistake that people in the movement make is being vegan is like about a diet. Being vegan is about what you wear and what you think about the world. No, it's not. Right? That's part of it, but it's an identity. You say, I am a vegan, not I do vegan things or I believe in veganism. You say, I am a vegan. Right? I am a vegetarian. I am a pescatarian. And when you take that new identity on, you have to leave your old identity. and now your family thinks you're weird, right? And your friends act awkward when you want to come around for dinner because they're like, what can I make you, right? It's a whole thing that you're asking someone to do. And so if you want a group that is going to appeal to this, you have to allow them to enter with their own identity, right? I've been part of vegan groups in the past where it's like, someone's telling a story about, I accidentally ate something when I was on holiday, I didn't understand it, and it had cheese in it. And there's like a vibe of like, you did that? And that person's saying I'm doing it, right? But it's like, if you want to actually change society, you can make a cool clubhouse over here with people that act like you, dress like you, talk like you, want to be like you, and you can all hang out and have 5 people and do a meeting once every 2 weeks, right? Or you can try and change the world, in which case you've got a deal here, right? There we go. Hey! Yeah. Okay, this one. I do that, right, with my friends now that are not in there. Right? Because it's good, you're in like a meeting, you're at the pub and you're like, yeah. And then, because it's weird, right? But it's not so weird, I don't think, that it actually puts people off, because I think it is actually quite useful. But you need to be careful about the psychology of the things that you're doing, because some meetings are very weird. Some meetings are very weird, and the further you get into like, we're a small group and we're just a small group, the weirder it is. And so it seems strange, like, don't ask people to leave their identity to make a new one. They can join the group, they can be part of the community and maintain their own identity, right? Okay, let's see how much time I've got. So I'm going to tell a quick story now. So I'm very, very quickly, but then yeah.
I just want to ask, how do you do that? I don't understand what actions you'll take to do the identity thing, to not seem weird, I guess.
Okay, does anyone want to shout out, how might you make someone who's, eats meat, but thinks that we should have a plant-based university, how do you make them feel welcome? Yeah.
I think it's very important to make clear to the whole group that it's not important to be vegan, to be part of the group. And also in my group I make it clear, like, not to talk about your personal veganism or such, because other people of the group might be like, oh, can I be here because I ate meat 2 weeks ago, for example, or I'm not strictly vegan.
Yeah, exactly, that's one thing. Another one is, Kerry?
You need to encourage a diversity of opinion. There's going to be people who you fundamentally disagree with on a political level. As long as they are willing to accept your mission, you should welcome them in.
Yeah, exactly. They call that, I don't know if it translates, but they call that in UK politics a broad church. You want to bring as many people in as possible. All you have to do is agree with the mission. If you agree with the mission and you treat everyone else in the group with respect and kindness and all the rest of it, you're in, right? If you believe in the mission, you're working towards the mission, you're part of the group. Not if you believe the mission and you agree with me about every other political topic in the world, because then this thing, which is the majority of society, again ends up here. Because every time you add a new thing on, a new requirement, the number of people massively drops. And so you end up with your small little group, and that's great, and you can all have, bake stuff together. But it's not going to change the world. Right. Okay, so social movements, I think, are really bad at doing what I've just described. Actually, I'm going to leave that on. Social movements are very bad at doing this, in general. Who is very good at it are churches. Right? Yeah. And actually, I think that quite a lot of the thing is just that we have to learn this because we don't live in community anymore. We don't hang around with elderly people, right? We don't hang around with, with people who have completely different jobs than us, right? Or live in a completely different part of the town, or live in a completely different sized house or a different class than us, right? We don't do that generally because we're not going to church. That was the place where it used to happen, right? Where you would meet all these people, and it's like a standard way of doing where, we all agree with the one thing and we get on, right? I'm not saying there's not problems with the church, by the way. But we need to learn how to do that if we're going to build these new communities. And if you look at most of the super successful social movements from history, they were very, very tied to the church. The civil rights movement in America mobilized through the church. They weren't looking at this and going, okay, we're going to get one person and one person and one person and one person and one person. They were like, we're going to convince the whole church. Right, and then thousands of people across the country all join in a single time, because churches do this very, very, very well. Okay, so in my mission to get better at this, I actually, luckily I live in London, and there is churches everywhere, of every different denomination, there's synagogues, temples, there's mosques, there's everything, right? And so I've been going on a years-long journey around lots of them to see what happens if you go in the door, right? And you can tell by how many people are in there, pretty much, whether they're doing this. If they're doing this, it's full. If they're not doing this, it's empty, right? The Church of England is the classic Church of England. Yeah, it says it on the tin. If you go to a Protestant Church of England meeting, right, if you go to the service on a Sunday, no one says hello to you. I went to the one at St. Paul's, right, big cathedral in London. No one said hello to me. There was no welcome. You just stand in a queue, you get your bag searched, you walk in, you listen to the thing, you go home, and the guy goes like, bless you, as you're walking out the door, right? But that's it. And that's why it's a massive church and half the seats are empty and there's not that many seats in there, right? But I also live in Peckham, and there's loads of African churches in Peckham, right? And once, and I think this is the best mobilisation I've ever seen. I've spent 10 years going to different social movements. This small church in Peckham is the best mobilisation I've ever seen, right? I was walking in the park near my house, and a woman ran over to me. I mean ran, right? And she went, excuse me, I think you really needed to hear this. And she gave me a single leaflet. There was no one else there. She had no stack of leaflets. She gave me one leaflet. And she said, you really need this. I can feel it. You really need to experience this, or you really need to get this. This was meant for you. And I was like, wow. I feel like I'm about to have something happen to me. And guess where the church was? Okay, so, yeah. So she's already been nice and kind and fun with me, right? Because it's slightly tongue-in-cheek as well. But I felt great. It was like a nice interaction. She was super charming, charismatic, and I was like, this person's great. Yeah, I'm going to go where she's asking me to go. And did she say, oh, well, by the way, you're going to have to get the tube, and it's going to take an hour, and it's going to cost you £6 on your Oyster card? Or did she say, well, is it just there? Right? She said it was just there. And I went, oh, nice. Oh, it's happening right now. And I was like, yeah. So I walked over. So it's happening close in space and time, right? So I go there. And there's a big queue to get in, right? I wish I remembered the denomination. I've given this talk twice talking about this, and I've forgotten what kind of church it actually was. But yeah, so I go there, and someone at the door says hello, right? Shakes my hand and looks me in the eye, being nice and kind and fun, right? There's nice music playing. Everyone is being super nice and friendly and happy, right? And so I'm like, oh, great, I'm not a Christian, I've never been to church before, I should feel like an outsider. I should feel weird, but I don't, because everyone's been really nice to me. And then what happens is, they say, oh, come right this way, sit down. The woman next to me starts chatting to me, so I've not seen you before, what brought you here? Yada, 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 we're having a chit chat. But as this is happening, someone goes, oh, by the way, what was your, oh, Harley was it? Yeah, can you help make the teas? So then, and I have actually got that here. This is one that, it was called this by Last Generation Germany as well, who did that, a lot of the things way better than we did in the UK, but they called it task integration, right? People should be doing something as soon as they get in, right? Because I instantly went from, I'm an outsider, I don't really understand what's going on, I've just got a leaflet, to now, right, not only am I an attendee, I'm part of the crew. And then I was helping this woman serve teas, right? So I'm going around and I'm meeting everyone because I'm helping. And I'm going, oh nice, yeah, there you go, there you go, there you go. And we're doing this. Now, this bit, it didn't really work in for me because I didn't really understand it at all what was going on. It was so different from the church I grew up in that I really didn't really understand what was happening. And it was switching between English and a different language, which I don't know what it was. So I found it quite difficult then for this bit. But it was filled to the rafters. Like, you could not have squeezed more people into that room because they were doing this. And I challenge any of you, especially if you live in a city, you can do this to multiple ones. Go to different churches and you will see it. If you go to the churches that are well established and been going for years and it's like got declining numbers, they don't do this, right? The new churches which are taking over are doing this, right? Another point on this is, because someone brought this up when I did an online version of this, was, doesn't this sound like a cult? Isn't this what cults do? And should we really be a cult? The answer is no, we shouldn't be. And here's why. So I believe that the difference between a cult and a church is a church genuinely wants you to get closer to God, and that's why they're doing their work, right? They want you to come in and they want you to have the religious experience that they've had. They think they've got access to something and they want to share it with you, right? So they're doing this, and that's not a cult, right? A cult uses pretty much the same things, but it's not real because they're not feeling that. What they're thinking is, I want this person's money, or I want them to work for me, or I want to feel a sense of control over someone. And what you need to be doing is, your mission, if it is to control people, this is how you do it. Right? But if you don't want to be a cult and do nasty things, you need to do the exact same thing basically, but you do it with a different meaning. And you're doing it because you want people, like Ben was saying, to have a personal transformation and have like, I care about this issue, and you want them to leave feeling like I'm empowered to do something about this issue that I care about. That's the difference, right? It is the same tactics. It's the same methods, but one of them is genuine and one of them is just an act. So do the genuine one. But yeah, there's two final things. And it sounds like lots of people are doing this. Kevin was talking about this a lot, which is you need to know what your pipeline is, right? So you get a leaflet or you speak to someone. What happens to you then? You get a call maybe, you go to a meeting, you go to a social, you go to a meeting, you get a call, whatever it is, and you go through this until you get them to the end, right? Whatever it is that you're doing in your university. I can't tell you what to do exactly, but what I would say is you need to draw it out. You need to look at it, right? Because it's quite likely, especially when you start to get bigger, like Chloe was talking, when Chloe was talking about, when you're getting bigger and you've got multiple teams, this can actually become quite complex. And it can actually be someone can get, and once you start dealing with 10, 20, 30 people, 40 people, people can easily get stuck at some point in this and nothing's happening to them. And they're like, God, I want to be part of this group. They said something would happen, but it didn't happen. So you need really to think about this, like draw out the pipeline. How are people going to move through? And that's going to be something as well that you do in the next part of the session after lunch, is drawing out the pipeline. And then micro design. I think most of the time we think that this kind of stuff is about the big stuff, right? And it is, the big stuff's important. But the main stuff when getting people involved is the detail. What does the leaflet look like? Where is the QR code on the leaflet to sign up? Where is your stall? How did you greet the person? How are you asking them to write their name down? These little details which seem completely inconsequential can change things massively, right? So one of the examples we have is, I don't know if I should do this example or not, but if you ask people in a meeting right now and we were to say, hey, do you guys all think this is good? Yeah, come on. You guys think this is good? Brilliant. We want you to donate. So we're going to put here at the front, we're going to put a little QR code, and you can scan that and you'll be able to donate then, right? Lots of people in this room are going to be like, yeah, I'm going to donate. That sounds great. But then they get here, oh, there's a queue, oh, my phone's not got signal, like, oh, what am I doing? Oh, well, what's happening? Oh, it's serving dinner. And then suddenly, even if the people in the room have all the will and want to do it, because you've set it up in a slightly wrong way, no one donates, right? No one does it, or very few people do. But if, and I'm going to do it because this is an example. This is like one from different environmental groups in the UK do this. And we found that this massively works. We copied it from the Sunrise Movement in America, which just shows again, that's like the detail. You could ask like that. And the main way actually I see people asking is like this, which is, now I know that everyone's struggling, and I know that, sorry, I don't even know if I should be asking this, to be honest, but we do have costs, and like things do cost money to do, and like, there's a lot of people who put a lot of effort in. But if you would be okay with donating, that's like, it'd be okay if you, but don't worry if you can't, like, don't do that, right? And now everyone in the room feels a bit weird. Like, something weird is going on. I'm being asked to do something the person doesn't even want me to do, right? And that's the main way that I've ever seen it, people ask for donations, right? Now we're going to do a way, which when we did it, we averaged £10 from each person in the meeting, right? Or like £2.50, I think, with monthly donations. Okay. Who wants to see a plant-based future? Put your hand up if you want to see a plant-based future. Yes, keep that hand up, don't put it down, come on. We want to see that plant-based future, yeah! Yeah, we want to see that plant-based future. Great stuff, great stuff. Now, who's willing to do something to see it happen? Keep your hand up if you're willing to do something. Yeah, right, brilliant. We're all going to do something together. Yeah, right, one person doesn't make a difference, we all make a difference as a group. I want everyone to go in their pockets, get out their phones. Right now, come on, get out your phones. Come on, we're all doing it. Everyone's doing it. It's just you that's not doing it. Everyone's doing it. Get out your phones. Come on, some people not doing it. You don't have to, but listen to feel the social pressure. We're all getting our phones out. And now, I want you to go. I don't know what the donate actually is for this group, but anyway, it's just an example. But you say then, we're all going to donate together. And then I get my phone out, and I donate in front of everyone, and we all donate as a group. Right? And then suddenly, it's not a weird thing that's happening. It's like, we all want to make this thing happen, right? And now we're all going to do it. And so you can see from like oh, please, if it's okay, don't mind. And you go like that, and stand over there, no, I don't really want to be part of this. Like, no, we're all doing it, right? It's like, yeah, that is micro design. And you need to do it with everything, all the things. And don't obsess too much, because it's like 20% of the effort in micro design gets you 80% of the results. So if you do the 20%, you'll get it. And just think like that, because people do sometimes get too obsessed with like, okay, we're going to change this, we're going to change that. Yes?
How do you know if the detail is important?
Test. Test and find out. So the main way to do it is like, let's say you have a meeting, and someone has a suspicion, because usually there's one person who's like, I've got a feeling. Have a discussion. Why did no one like that meeting?
What was the question again? Can you?
Oh, sorry. The question was, how do you know when which details to focus on, or when a detail's important? And I think you've had a meeting and it's not gone the way you wanted, or it has, but you want to improve it. Have a discussion and see, what does anyone think we can do, right? What does anyone think? How can we actually change this? With thinking about these principles here, right? And maybe, and some might say, oh, well, the reason I think it's because. Michelle that came, she never spoke to anyone because she felt a bit awkward. So she sat at the side, you're like, okay, we need to bring Michelle in next time, right? Or it might be, oh, none of the donations happened, like, well, let's think about why, and just go through it like that. And there's no real way to know until you test it. And the thing is, it's like, when you do a donation thing like that, I used to do talks all the time, giving talks like this, we just tried different things until we settled on doing that, and it was the biggest one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, I'll just run through it all one more time because then we're going to break for lunch. But yeah, proximity in space and time. Everything needs to happen close. And just because it makes your life easier to delay it by 2 weeks, there's no point. There's no point. Don't do that, right? Do it fast. Make it happen. Sociability, be nice and kind and fun. Don't ask people to change their identity. Get them involved in the group as quickly as possible. Again, proximity. And draw out your pipeline. So you know where the things are that you can then do your micro design on. And one last thing to say actually is, the further along someone goes on your pipeline, the more valuable that person is to you, right? Because at this point you've put in half a second giving a leaflet out. At this point you've had a phone call. At this point you've run a meeting. And by this point, when they're like integrated into your system and it's functioning and they're like, I'm coming to meetings, they're working hard, they're doing things, you've invested so much time here. So micro design here is far more important than micro design here, right? Because a small error here, which might make 5% of people leave, right, is much more important than a decision which makes 5% of people here change, right? The further along the pipeline you get, the more important it is. And I think it's with the plant-based universities, it's the launch training, right? The launch training, how the launch trainings happen is the key node in the system. All this stuff, yeah, you need to get it right, but the launch training itself, you've got 10 people, 5 people in a room who have come, I'm going to go for a whole day, like for 5 or 6 hours, whatever it is, 4 hours? 4 to 5 hours. Someone who's got to give in 4 to 5 hours is already so committed. And if you mess it up there, you've made a big mistake. So that's the key node here to do it with. Yeah, and I think, yeah, I'll just say, yeah, basically it's all a skill. Some people have it naturally. You might have met those people, and if they join your group, it's fantastic because all this just works really quickly. But most people don't have that. You can learn it. Just put the time and effort in and you will learn how to do it. And you'll get great results. And it's just about, keep learning the skills and keep being persistent. It's so context dependent. The micro design is so unbelievably context dependent. So what works for Extinction Rebellion might not work for your group because it's very, very different. And the question is, how do you get other people in your team to be more inclusive and welcoming to people if they don't necessarily want to be? You have to just meet first and discuss it and plan it. And you need, it's very, very, changing culture of a group that doesn't want to do something is very, very difficult. But you need to try and change the culture of the group and just like, this is an expectation that when we go in, we're all going to take to, or you can choose, I'm going to be the greeter, or someone else is going to be the greeter. But the idea is that you get people, you just agree to do it beforehand. Once you're in the meeting, making changes is very difficult, but if you plan before. But then, if people really, really don't want to do it and are like, I'm against this, we shouldn't be welcoming, then I think it's worth asking people to leave. If you can find somewhere where people have already been filtered for people that would be interested, so like, vegetarian or vegan food festivals, or a talk that's happening at the university by like an environmentalist or something, or an author that you like, that's like a really good way of doing it. So yeah, I agree with that. And there's obviously, all these things are in tension with other things, so it's always about a balance. You can't just do it perfect. Like, that's a brilliant point, thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, just very quickly. So often people have a view of what vegan or plant-based university is, even though they might support the core goal. How do you communicate that out, that they don't have to leave their identity at the door? How do you clearly communicate that? For example, you're at a stand somewhere in a big university, you have the plant-based university sign out. There's a lot of people who have certain notions about veganism, although they might be on the fence, like talking about the big flexitarian group. How do you communicate to them that they don't have to go all the way in order to support the main goal of making universities plant-based?
That's a fantastic question. My gut feeling at the moment, I think someone else could probably answer it better if you speak to one of the other campaigners later, but I think it'd be something along the lines of just like, hey, nice to meet you, we're plant-based universities. So we're not trying to make individual change, we're not asking people to change their diets. What we're asking is the university to change, because they've got a responsibility to hit their climate targets, whatever it is. I think just that kind of framing. And you can say it just like, if it is a problem where you're seeing it, people are being put off, I would try and put it front and centre. And then just test it. Like, does it help saying it at the beginning? Did we have a better day today because we said it at the beginning? Yeah. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much. We'll go for lunch. Right, I'm going to tell you a very quick story, basically, of a mobilisation that went very well, very quickly, just to give you an idea of what's possible. Because I'm not sure everyone will have heard these stories of just when you do things right and it works in the right way, how quickly things can take off. Most of the time, mobilising is like this, and you grow really, really slowly a little bit, right? Sometimes, if you're lucky, it's like this, and you're like gradually building. But if you do it really, really well, and you get all the conditions to get perfect, it does that, right? And it is possible to do that. Can everyone see this? Basically, I would say that's non-linear. These two are linear, and that one's a bit sad, and that one's less sad, right? Okay, I'll do a super quick one. That was a great way to use the slide. Okay, so we went to give a talk with Just a Toilet in Edinburgh, and in week 1, 2 of us went there, right? We gave out 5,000 leaflets. 2 of us, we didn't know anyone at the university. We started with this. 2 people went, we leafleted, we gave out 5,000 leaflets. 5k. How many people do you think came to our event, the talk we were running?
10.
4. So 4 people came. But we went as well, so it was 6. Yeah, right? So 6 people came, 5,000 leaflets. That's what it's like, right? It's a lot of work. But at this meeting, we met 2 people who were BNOCs. Is BNOC still a thing? Yeah. Yes and no. It's a big name on campus. They're the most popular person at the university. And 2 of them came to tell you a little thing. I once went walking around the campus with one of them, and it was like you were with like a politician or something, because everyone was like, oh, hey, nice to meet you, nice to see you, man. Oh, and everyone, like, as you were going, I was like, God, imagine living like this. Okay, so but what they did is, which we didn't speak about, is mobilise their friends. Your friends are the most valuable people because they want to do things that you want to do, right? So they host one in their flat in Edinburgh. Flats in Edinburgh are very large. How many people do you think came to the week 2 when they did a talk just of their friends? How many people came to it, the one that was in their flat?
30.
Okay, we're pretty close, to be honest. Like 40 people came. Brilliant. So 40 people came, and they gave a little talk because they thought ours wasn't that good, right? I disagree, but they got 40 people and we got 4. So what they did there was they had 20,000 leaflets and I think 2,000 or 3,000 posters. And what they said to their friends was, don't do something big. It was, you guys are going to go and poster the hell out of the university and you're going to give out all these leaflets, right? Big. So 20k plus 3k, right, that's bad writing. Anyway, the idea is there. How many come in week 3 when we had the big talk, the big event? How many people came? Remember, this is now university students doing this and talking to their friends. And you can imagine if there's 40 people on campus doing it, what's the vibe? How many people came? You guys are pretty good. You guys are pretty good. We actually don't know because the university stopped people coming in. But we think it was something around 250 before the university called the police on us because we were breaching the fire regulations. And we actually got to do a very good bit where during the speech the police were coming in and were saying, the police are shutting us down because we're so powerful. And it whipped up the whole group, right? But so, we're seeing this. 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Right? Yes, quickly. Yes. So 20,000 posters go out and we get this. Right? 20,000 posters. But now you've seen that this is like additive. The 5,000 gets this. Maybe that's additive, probably not. That seems a bit non-linear. But now we've blown up. So now it's the biggest thing on campus already. Right? It's the thing everyone's talking about. Right? There's a big event happening for Just Uphold at Edinburgh. Let's all go to it. It's become a huge thing. And now this is where we had a bit of a disagreement. Because if we saw the thing before of the Dunning-Kruger confidence curve, those guys had just mobilised more people than the rest of the entire UK, right, in 3 weeks. What do you think happened?
They went up Nude Mountain.
Yeah, they went up Nude Mountain. Yes, exactly. And I was helping because I was like, I told the guy, he's a very lovely man. If he sees this, hi Columba, you're a great guy. I told him he was the chosen one. I said that he was the best hope for humanity. So which probably didn't help. But anyway, on advice from the remnants of Fridays for Future in Scotland, they decided to do a library occupation, right, with a teach-in. So now it's like, the focus is kind of gone, right? But they've got this thing. So how many people came to the library occupation?
20.
Come on, I might have undersold it. It's better than 20. More. Keep going. Okay, it was 500. Yeah, okay. So it continues, and you can imagine now we've said, hey, you shouldn't do this, it's a bad idea, and it works. Now you can imagine what happens next. So you've got this now, but those people have not been integrated. They've all come to an event, they're all excited, this is all great, let's do something. But I know it's happening all the time, it's little things. But yeah, all this great stuff's happening, but they've not been integrated into the group, and they don't have anything to do, right? They don't have anything to do because the action was happening months away. So all this energy and feeling is being created, but now there's nowhere for it to go, right? So what happens when it's nowhere for it to go? It turns inwards, right? So then, and this is the bit where we were just like, it's going to go now. They decided to have a 6-hour-long meeting to decide the hierarchy of the group, right? Split up into different sections, which we said, don't do this. You just need to focus on the mission. We need to stay focused on the mission. What are we actually trying to achieve? This is not going to do it. And you got about 200 people coming to this, right? And there was a huge discussion happened, and the guy that founded it was kicked out of his own group. So we're 5 weeks in, because, why should you be? You're a good-looking white guy who went to a private school. Why do you get to be the leader of the group? He gets to be the leader of the group because he's the only one that can make it happen, I think. But anyway, so he gets kicked out of his own group, and then week 6, what happens is it's collapsed now, right? They decide that they're not going to do climate work anymore. They're going to do all work. They're going to do a complete unitary theory of how to change the world on every single part. So then, the next thing, I think it's about 15 people go to the lecturer's strike, right? And that's the end. And so you have this building of thing that comes so quickly from an amazing mobilisation, the best mobilisation I've ever seen, right? I've heard about them in the history books, but that's the best one I've ever seen just happen spontaneously. And it happened with people who hadn't done it before, because you can do it, right? You can just do it, and it can just work. But then the benefit that you guys have got is, you've got this community, you've got this group, you've got a structure, which means that this hopefully won't happen, right? It's completely possible to work your way up to this and then get those people active doing things and feeding them through. Yeah. Hopefully that helps, and hopefully that makes you feel both hopeful and aware that it's quite likely for things to collapse if you don't keep the other stuff in place. And try and remember, what to do. Okay,
I've got the shortest amount of time ever to tell you about something actually huge. So hopefully we'll have time to come back to it. But it's postering, and how important and how valuable it is to get people to do something, whether that's to come to an event or directly to a launch training. So yeah, first of all, like the first thing that I'd like you to remember from this is to not underestimate the power of postering in university. And by postering, I don't mean just putting like 5 posters in 5 buildings. I mean putting like 50 posters in all of the building in a university. That's the only way you're going to manage to get a decent amount of people to your social or to your launch event. And why is it important to not just have like 1 poster in 1 building? First of all, is because generally you need to see something several times before actually thinking, okay, this is something important that I need to go to. The second thing is that if you see posters, like so many posters of the same thing across your campus, this actually says, okay, this is a big organization. It actually already presents PBU as something big. And we talked about appearing as a winning team as a big thing already. This is so important. This is the first thing that people will see about PBU in many cases, is those posters. So if they see that they're all across the campus, they already have this first impression of, wow, these people are on it. They're putting posters everywhere. The second thing is about micro design, which we talked about. And it's simple things like making sure the posters are not wrinkled, that they're straight up, that they're upright. These are small things, but actually, like, ask yourself, this is one of the key things, is always put yourself in the shoes of your target audience. When you see a poster that's not upright or that's wrinkled, in how many cases do you actually want to scan it? The chances are tiny, okay? So it's actually really, really important for the poster to not be wrinkled and to be upright. These are small things, but actually they matter a lot, especially when you're going to put up 250 posters. There's 2 different ways to go about it. You can either have a QR code, and I'm sorry for talking so fast, but I've literally got like 3 minutes. And yeah, if you want to talk to me about it a little bit more afterwards, please do feel free to come to me. You can either have a QR code that advertises a social, or that just advertises a group chat, and that sends you to a group chat. Yeah, so these are some of the posters that we made in the UK, and actually that we're going to put all over Europe after this camp. You can see it's really straightforward, actually. You don't need to be a professional to make them. You've got your catchphrase at the top that says universities across Europe are going plant-based. So first of all, what does this achieve? What does this sentence achieve? Very quickly. Yes, it shows that we're actually all across Europe. It just shows that we're incredibly big and that the movement is massive already. Then let's make yours next. But then it talks directly to the person seeing this, and already they can start thinking, oh, maybe I could do something about this. And then join the movement is the direct call to action. And then this QR code can be either a QR code to a social that you're organizing with a specific date already set in, or it can be to a group chat and then you decide the date together. There's disadvantages and advantages and disadvantages to doing either. But just to keep in mind that if you advertise a specific social with a specific date, it means that people who might be interested in joining PBU but who can't make the date won't join you. And that's a lot of lost people. The other thing is that if it's an event, the posters are going to go out of date. Whereas if it's a group chat, the posters are going to stay relevant for weeks on end. Okay? So, this was a very brief run through, and please feel free to talk to me about it afterwards, because yeah, postering is a whole science. So yeah, I hope that was helpful. Thank you.